From the station with the most local news, Fox 17 News at 11 starts right now.
Do not forget, Hamas terrorists target Israeli civilians. Israel will target Hamas and Islamic Jihad terrorists wherever they will be in Gaza.
First tonight, Israel is officially at war. The declaration comes after Hamas launched a surprise attack on Israel this weekend, firing thousands of rockets and sending fighters from the Gaza Strip. So far, more than 1,100 people have been killed on both sides, with thousands more hurt. Both numbers expected to rise. This as both evacuations and the taking of hostages in Israel continue. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jamie Sherrod. Tonight, the U.S. State Department says it is working to verify reports of Americans killed or missing due to the attacks. Meanwhile, the Israeli Defense Force says it will exhaust all options when it comes to getting hostages back. The Pentagon has directed ships and aircrafts closer to Israel as a sign of support and to deter any militant groups aligned against Israel. Also tonight, the U.S. is sending security assistance. Meanwhile, a number of airlines are also pulling back flights that were heading to the country as violence there continues. That's including Delta, American, and United. And as that fighting escalates, supporters of Israel in West Michigan came together tonight to pray for peace. Fox 17's Marisa Oberly was at that gathering and also spoke with a former senior officer of the country's military who now lives in the area. She joins us live with this story. Marisa.
Jamie, everyone I talked to compared the past 2 days to some of the darkest in Jewish history since the end of the Holocaust.
At Temple Emmanuel in Grand Rapids, dozens of people solemnly gathered on Sunday to remember the hundreds of Israeli lives lost this past weekend when Hamas, an Islamic militant group, invaded the country.
The grandson of a Holocaust survivor who I had as a teacher was murdered yesterday.
Michael Shattuck, the synagogue's rabbi, says the attack brings pain to Jews in West Michigan.
It is the worst of the worst, and it's evil. There is no other description for it.
With many of them worried about loved ones in the country.
This is a war of no choice.
Michael Harris, who lives in Rockford but grew up in Israel, says his wife went overseas a few weeks ago to take care of her mother. She called to tell him about the invasion. Their families live about 20 miles from Gaza.
They relatively safe. They do sleep in shelters. Every night, rockets come in all the time. There's bigger concern now when terrorists are moving around. Those that are still there and have not been captured yet, they will be within, I believe, within 24 hours. But it's part of life. So is it, a vacation area? No. Is there terrible anxiety? No.
Harris also served in the Israel Defense Forces for 15 years and holds a PhD in public policy. He describes Hamas's takeover of southern Israel as a big failure, but expects IDF to strongly strike back.
I believe Israel needs to hurt and hit Gaza so strongly that the Hamas will never, ever be a force at all.
Shattuck agrees, and while he does not want a war to last forever, Shattuck hopes West Michigan supports the Jewish community as the country tries to defend itself.
We know how blessed we are to have Israel as a nation state for Jews to go to, but when this happens in the only Jewish nation in the world, it's very disconcerting, and it's very, very hard for us to wrap our hearts and minds around. That in 2023, this kind of thing can still be happening.
Both Rabbi Shattuck and Harris applauded President Biden's support of Israel and say they want to see more of that from national, state, and local leaders. Reporting in the studio tonight, Marisa Oberly, Fox 17 News.